Yeah, I mean, okay, let's debate Crimea, but Donbass, absolutely. Well, look, joining me now, we have sorted the tech out. Rear Admiral Dr. Chris Parry, CBE, former NATO and Royal Navy commander, and of course, friend of the show. Good morning to you, Chris. We've got you working.
Hi, Julia. Yeah, I'm in a car, I'm afraid, but here I am.
That's all right. It's better to have you in any circumstance. We always have to hear from you. I mean, just first up, I just want to talk about these counteroffensive plans, which apparently Zelenskyy says, before they'd even put them into action, Vladimir Putin had them on his desk or that huge comedic long white table in the Kremlin. And that's why there hasn't been that success in terms of their fight back, which many had predicted at the end of last year. Do you think that is the reason why?
No, I don't think so, Julia. I think if we're being realistic, I think you'll find that the Russian defences were very, very entrenched. They had 3 lines of trench systems. They had multiple mines. The Russians are using 16 times the amount of mines that NATO would have used in a similar situation. Their aviation is pretty active along the front. And to tell you the truth, I don't think the Ukrainians have been trained properly, that we train them for defensive operations. I think we have to remember that Ukraine is on the defensive on 3 fronts, active on 2. One of those was trying to drive down towards the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. And the other, of course, is in the Black Sea itself, where they've destroyed 25, 26, and 15 others.
Yeah. So it's the right kind of training and the right equipment. We've got some amazing footage right now. This sort of snowscape with tanks and planes firing at each other. We've seen, it's what the Ukrainian people are still living with right now. In terms of what happens in the future, are you concerned about the amount of aid and the kind of aid and the amounts of it getting crucially to Ukraine in time? And are you concerned also about the possibility of a second Trump presidency, given what Donald Trump has said about ending the war in Ukraine on day 1?
I think Trump is bluffing for an internal audience, to tell you the truth, Julia. I don't think he believes that himself. I think the amount of aid has been niggardly, to tell you the truth, all the way through, right from the start of the campaign. But the simple fact of life is that Ukraine will soon run out of manpower. I was hearing last week a Russian general who was giving a speech to a military academy, and he was asked, how are you going to end the war in Ukraine? He said, well, we'll just throw corpses at it. And that tells you about the Russian mentality and the fact they've got reserves of manpower that Ukraine just doesn't have.
Yeah. I mean, and reports today about the Russian economy is basically, a third of the economy and spending is now, it's a wartime economy. The West is not on a war footing. So in terms of the help we can give to Ukraine, we just don't have the capacity.
We do have the capacity, Julia. It depends on what we're prepared to spend. If you look at the United States defense budget, they're spending about 5% on aid to Ukraine right now, but it's diminishing the Russian capability by about 70%. So that's a really good trade if you're looking at it from a business point of view. So it's worthwhile sticking in there. The real problem is, I think, as I said, Ukraine's capacity to maintain their own economy, and secondly, the manpower issues that are required in theatre.
We've just entered the last couple of days, the 3rd year of this war, the one that Vladimir Putin thought would last days or just a matter of weeks. He sees Kyiv all be over. What happens next? How long? Are we going to still be talking about this in 5 years' time? What is going to be the end result and when? If you had to, put your home on it.
Yeah, I think, my forecasting hat on, Julia, I think we're heading for a North Korea, South Korea situation. The Russians are consolidating their grip on the 4 provinces of Ukraine that they hold. They're killing people. They're, taking people back to Russia to educate them in inverted commas. I think it's going to be very difficult to dislodge them. And what I think will happen is we'll see a North Korea, South Korea situation with a demilitarized zone in between. But the Russians will still be a problem unless the Ukraine's borders are guaranteed by NATO or by the United States. The Russians will come back and get more. Thereafter, the bottom third of Ukraine, they want Odessa. They want to drive across all the way, I think, to the south to cut off Ukraine from the Black Sea. That's their agenda. And if Ukraine is going to stabilise, they have to be helped in that regard.
Really good to talk to you. Glad we sorted the tech issues enough to actually get you on there. Thank you for that. That is Rear Admiral Dr. Chris Parry. Thank you.